Dissolve the apartheid.
So what would you like to
Allow
see happen,
Palestinians.
Hassan?
Do you not understand the English language?
What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, afternoon, pre-noon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm HASAN Piker, and this is the HASAN broadcast coming to you live from gloomy May Gloom, California, Los Angeles. Folks, we're live and alive, and I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs are having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day. Today's a wonderful day. Today is Monday, News Day, de Cinco de freaking Mayo, also known as Cinco de Drinko for all my ladies. But I'm never gonna do that again. I'm sorry, folks. This is part of the broadcast where I tell you about my personal news about what's going on in the world of HASAN Piker in between the time period where I press the stop streaming button and press the start streaming button. So help me God, and I'm gonna do that. I got friends here staying with me, so I've been eating kind of poorly, I'll be honest. And also I'm gonna go to France soon in a couple days, so I'm gonna even eat worse than that. I'm gonna double down on the poor eating and eat even poorly. More poor. I don't know anymore. I don't know how to speak. You got no friends, sad. Yeah. The cookies, on the other hand, did help me lift because I hit 10 for 2 plates finally. And it's been a while since I've hit 10 for 2 plates. It's been quite a while, a couple of years as a matter of fact. Because like it's after I started lifting again, post peak of COVID. Look at how I'm ripping that, by the way. This is 225 pounds, baby. But the last one is bad. So that's 9. I still made it. My point is 225. I used to be able to do at my peak. I was able to do it for 15. Like that's NFL Combine. 225 pounds for 15 reps is NFL Combine level. Okay. And back at my peak physique when I was like 24, 25, 26, I could do that. I didn't say good NFL Combine. Okay. Chatters are comparing me to like the monsters that put up like 35. I didn't say I would be top level in the NFL Combine. I would say that if you can rep 225 for 15, you are NFL Combine level. You're the kicker? No. 15 reps for 225 pounds, I would say, I don't know. I actually don't know. I legitimately don't know, but I think it's like average, right? Isn't that like the average NFL Combine? Like that's an average NFL player can hit 15 reps on 225 pounds. And you have to remember when we say average on the other end of the spectrum, like you have the kickers on the one end of the spectrum. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have monsters, like people that do not belong to this planet. People that actually fell onto Earth, like from a galaxy far, far away as like a crystal meteorite or something. And then developed into monstrous beasts that can do 40 in a row. 15-20 for defensive back end and receivers, 20-25 for running backs, 25-30 for tight ends and linebackers, 30-39 for linemen. You're telling me that every single running back in the NFL can easily rep 225 for 225 pounds. I feel like that's a little crazy. They have to. They should be able to. That's crazy. I did not know that. The point is, I am a weak man, but I'm getting stronger, and that's what's important. The moral of the story is this. I haven't been able to get the barbell bench press up for even 135 pounds without injury for the longest time. And at this stage, I can literally do 225 pounds for 10, finally back at like the 10 level again. And 10 is an important one because like that means I can go up more and more. Anyway, I'm happy about this. This is another milestone. Sometimes even hitting a previous milestone that you had set for yourself that you had easily done for a long time in your life, but you could not achieve for a year because of a deep cut that you engaged with, being able to get back to that milestone is still good and should be celebrated. That is precisely what I'm doing here. This is, giving you access into the inside of the mind of HASAN Piker, and being able to do so without risk of injury is the best part. Actual results from this year's NFL Combine show that the max this year was 32 reps, and the big boys got 20-30 reps at 225 pounds. I don't think chatters were wrong. 15 puts you in like mid tier, literally, or bottom tier. Not even mid-tier. You got to do 20. That's crazy. I think 20 is more accurate to say mid-tier for the Combine. Chatters were right. I was wrong, but I don't know enough about sports, so that makes sense. The very fact that I'm talking about the Combine in and of itself is crazy because, I mean, these are literally the top top 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% athletes on the planet. And I'm not an athlete. I am not a professional athlete. I lift not even for strength training, but specifically with hypermobility that I already have, that already makes it a problem for me to do these kinds of compound muscle exercises. But I'm a professional yapper. I'm the top 1% of 1% of 1% of yapping. Okay. I do NFL numbers on the gift of gab. Okay. And also I'm like 10 years older than every single person there, which doesn't actually mean anything. Cause like if I had 10 full years of like actively weightlifting, I'd be able to outlift these guys, especially if I like did it right. Up until the age of 35, it actually benefits you. Like being young is good for recovery and stuff, but weightlifting time actually does help in terms of strength. I don't know why people are saying cope unk. I'm saying time would help me normally, but in this situation, I haven't worked out appropriately. I'm saying that time in this situation is not a negative, it's a positive. Guys, there's only a finite amount of muscle mass that you can put on your body in like a year-long period. I mean, your body is a complicated machine. You need to get comfortable with certain weights that you're putting up. You need to be able to like there's a neural connectivity with your muscles, like a movement that you've done so many times that it becomes like easier and easier to do. That's why sometimes when you're weightlifting and you move on from novice level to like a higher level of expertise, people will say, you know, it's good to sometimes get under and spend some time under heavier weights in order to develop confidence under heavier weights. That's why it's much easier for someone like myself after I quit weightlifting during COVID to go back into it and be able to very quickly engage in recomp and see much faster returns than someone who is just starting out. The more you train, the harder it is to gain. Sometimes you're lucky to put 5 pounds on a rep max in 1 year. Exactly. Once you get to a certain level, unless you get like a little bit of medical boosting, it's just not going to push you far. But you're not close to your peak, right? No, I'm not. Talking to a man with like probably 16% body fat right now. That's wild. Israeli officials detail plans to seize all of Gaza and occupy it indefinitely.
Some breaking news. There's a major development in the Middle East. Israeli officials tell the Associated Press that a new plan has been approved to seize all the territory in Gaza and then occupy it indefinitely.
Remember a few years ago when people were screaming that Israel would never want to occupy Gaza since they left in 2005? Yeah. No, you don't understand. It's because October 7, they have to. They're just forced. They had their hands forced.
Now, if implemented, hundreds of thousands of already displaced Palestinians will be pushed to southern Gaza, only worsening an already dire humanitarian crisis. For 2 months now, Israel has blocked all food, water, and medicine from entering the Palestinian territory, triggering what aid agencies are calling the worst humanitarian crisis there since the violence began nearly 1.5 years ago.
One of the lesser considered aspects of this conversation from Israel, which is now pushing for the final solution, by the way, they want to ethnically cleanse a majority child population that they've starved out for the past 2 months. Remember, this is a majority children population. There's a reason why 70% of the people that they kill are either children, women, or the elderly, because that's just what the population is. So after starving them, destroying their cities in its entirety, and starving them for 2 months, now they're going to go in and do a full-blown military occupation. And obviously, this is Nazi stuff. I mean, this is the Holocaust. This is the final solution. They are doing it in broad daylight, and they're doing it within the legal confines that they've created for themselves. Just like the Nazis, what they were doing to the Jews were legal by their own estimations, by their own designs when they implemented the Nuremberg race laws, right? The one aspect that is less covered in this matter, however, is if they even have the military strength to be able to do this. Do they have the numbers to do this? I know that there is definitely a lot of appetite for people in the war cabinet, for sure, especially the more radical elements within the war cabinet. But I don't know if there is enough manpower at this stage, but I have not checked in. I have not been looking at the numbers of like, or the drama that's happening with like forcible conscripts or the reservists not returning to duty. At a certain point, they're gonna have a hard time filling the ranks. I genuinely don't know if they have enough manpower to do so, or if they have enough appetite to do so. Because like there's a lot of people who just want to go back to their regular lives. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who are like, okay, I've done enough child murder. Like, can I please go back to my marketing job? Like, I miss my family. The impact of all of that violence will also only be seen in a decade. We haven't even gotten there yet. You know how we have the 22 vets a day number in the United States of America? Some of the heinous shit that the Israeli occupying force has done in Gaza is like an Abu Ghraib every day. So that number is going to be far higher. Like this is going to have inevitably karmic damage or cosmic damage in the form of karmic justice to Israel for sure. There is no, like, I mean, you can bomb these buildings over and over again, these hollowed out buildings over and over again, but like inevitably, if you want to do a military occupation, you need manpower. If you have manpower, there is going to be resistance against that manpower. There is going to be tunnel warfare, guerrilla warfare. Once again, Hamas has replenished its ranks, and then you got the Al-Qassam brigades. You got all of these other like militancy formations that are going to inevitably take out soldiers over and over again. And I don't think that Israel has the capacity to keep that operation up with straightforward manpower, like just boots on the ground military manpower, without American intervention. So therein lies the question. Does America intervene? Do we see the United States of America actually invade Gaza? Is that what they're going to do? I don't think Israel has the capacity to continue the war. Obviously, cost of Gaza war escalation could top 15.4 billion, threatening Israeli budget stability. You have port shutdowns, obviously. You're right. I'm a 9/11 era vet that didn't even see combat, but I have friends who died in Afghanistan. People like us are anti-American as fuck. It's not even just that. Like a lot of the Breaking the Silence guys are unironically people that have actually participated in sieges in Gaza, and then that made them incredibly grossed out to the whole fucking design, and that was like their wake-up call. But having said that, we also have the PTSD side of things. Like this is signaling societal collapse, especially when you consider that the Israeli population numbers are constantly fulfilling itself, like filling up the ranks with the Haredi population. They're having like 6 to 8 kids. Those guys don't have to serve in the military, but those guys are also not getting the proper education that Israel wants to show to the Western world, that they are like just like France or, just like any other normal Western country. We have arts. We celebrate education. We celebrate the arts. We celebrate scientific accomplishments and whatnot. So like if the only people that don't have PTSD that remain in Israel, that's like becoming the next generation of Israel, are all young Haredi Jews who only get a religious education, then like the societal makeup of Israel is going to dramatically change. You don't get to benefit from a steady flow of Western intervention and Western aid and Western support and an expenditure of Western political capital in defense of your genocide if your country doesn't look Western. I feel like they will inevitably lose their favored client status if they can't keep up an incredibly sophisticated influence peddling operation simultaneously. Did you just replacement theory Israel? No, because it's not replacement theory. It's more so, I mean, it is a little bit like getting mad at idiocracy for having a eugenicist slant, but it's idiocracy. We're experiencing that here in the United States of America as well. But it is kind of like idiocracy where, yeah, the guys that are having a lot of children that allow Israel to no longer have, to allow Israel to not have any sort of like birth rate decline. Those guys don't serve. They don't serve. They don't go to the same schools. They don't care about education in the same way. They have very different opinions on like women's position in society. And the more Israel becomes a majority Haredi population, which is, it's not there yet, but the more Israel becomes like a majority Haredi population like that, the less likely it is that it can keep up its sophisticated espionage operations or even sophisticated influence peddling operations in the West. As an ex-Haredi, I can assure you we receive little to no education. Yeah, it's mostly just like religious education, right? They're cooked regardless, if that makes sense. I mean, the West supports Saudi Arabia, and there aren't Western looking in any way, to be honest. Saudi Arabia is a weapon to wield against Yemen, okay? as long as it is a part of the defense initiative that defends Israel's interests in the region, as long as it has a shit ton of oil. But Saudi Arabia is not a favored client state in the same way that Israel is. No country is a favored client state in the same way that Israel is. Saudi Arabia is just an important bulwark against Iranian intervention in the region because Iran is outside of our sphere of influence. The double irony here, of course, is that we are trying to Israelify the United States of America. A lot of our politicians look to Israel's fascism and say, we like that. We want that here. We should do more of that, please. Like, there is a truly terrifying number of politicians who I think unironically look to the design of Israeli society and where it has gone over the course of the past couple of decades and has decided this is good. We should do this, but for Christianity, Christian Sharia.